what I talked about, the issue of the Nigerian revised visa policy that hopefully will be operationalized in the next 1 month. And like I said, this will reduce the visa processing time to about 48 hours. And it will also make it possible for other people to be captured under the visa on arrival policy. I thought that I should just make that known to you once again.
The first approval is for the award of contract for the development of bus terminal and other transportation facilities in the Capital Territory. Secondly is approval for the award of contract for the construction of Court of Appeal, Abuja Division. And number 3 is approval for the award of contracts for the provision of security operations and maintenance of backup generator for the street lights along presidential routes and Villa Gate 8, Federal Capital City. And lastly, the 4th approval is for the upgrading of Koitai Ebu Road in Kwali Area Council. And all the necessary due process for the procurement procedure has been followed, and certificates of no objection has been obtained for all the awarded.
For the aviation sector, we presented 2 memos and got 2 approvals. The first approval that we sought and obtained is in respect of mandatory payments of access fees by all visitors at our federal airport toll gates nationwide. No more exemption. No more exemption. When we came to office, we met a tradition on the ground where at the end of the year, all manners of VIPs would approach us for what they call complimentary ticket, or complimentary e-tags, or complimentary stickers, whereby you see them coming into the airports, our airports nationwide. They don't pay the access fees. They don't pay for parking. They don't pay for essential services at the airports. And they are VIPs. And I told myself and my team, I said, not under my watch. It will not happen. If this tradition had been existing for years, I will not allow it to happen. Because it is inconceivable that in our country, it is the VIPs that don't pay for services, but it is the poor men that pay for services. The VIPs who are supposed to have money don't pay for services, but they compel poor men to pay for services. And I said, no. So I got my team together. I said, we need the backing of council to compel everybody. In fact, guess what? Our memo says, with the exception of the president and the vice president. The president overruled me. He said he and the vice president will pay. He said everybody. Let me give you the shocking statistics. Shocking. The negative figure that we get at the end of the day from the complimentary e-tags we get is 82% negative, in the negative. In other words, where we're supposed to have 100% income from these e-tags that we print, it is only 18% that will now end up selling. That is how bad it is. 18%. And 82% of these e-tags are given out free of charge to VIPs. So imagine the loss in my sector. And I asked myself, which other sector will I go to that they give me anything free? Is it because I'm a VIP that you say that in FCT I should not pay land charges, that they will waive it for me? I pay for that sector. I pay my power. I pay for power. Yes? Yes, I pay for every other thing. I pay for information. Yes, I buy my papers. So why would everybody now come to my own sector and want to get free passage? Not possible. That is how bad it is. So, and this has led in the past to loss of billions of naira, not millions, billions of naira annually because of this. And yet, our airport infrastructure, you know they are decaying. I am helpless. I'm looking for concessionaires. I'm looking for help for decaying infrastructure. And they will be the first to cry out, these same VIPs, why are your toilets like this? Why are your toilets smelling? Why can't you do this? Why? They are the same people, but they don't pay for the services. So if we want improved infrastructure at the airport, we must pay for services. I'll give you another example. In one gate alone in Lagos State, one of the access gates, based on the count of the barrier going up and down, you know, it counts like a machine that counts. We are supposed to be making 250 or 60 million from that gate every month. That gate, because of exemptions, they return to us less than 100 million every month. Loss. And that also, of course, breeds corruption too, because now you cannot track, you cannot have the audit trail of those free tags that you now give to our people to give out to people. Either they sell it at half price, because in a year, the ones we sell, yearly tags, at times maybe 1 million or 1 million plus, that gives you access to parking, to access to everything, so nobody will tow your car. So we can't keep an audit trail of these tags that we give out. Some will now go and sell it at half price. Some of the, you know, maybe civil servants or those we give it to give out to people. So there was really no need to continue with this. I can go on and give you the figures, but it has led to massive, massive loss in the past. And luckily, Council agreed with us. Mr. President agreed with us. And Mr. President said, remove me from the exception and Vice President. Everybody should pay. So please divide the SGF. It was approved that the SGF should send a system-wide circular to everybody. We are going to also write to everybody, be it in the judiciary, the legislature, the executive, the military, high command. They can buy for their personnel yearly. You don't have to pay for every time you pass. Buy yearly, the yearly tax for all your officers. You have the money, pay us, so that we can improve your services at the airports. Thank you. The second one, we got a second approval. This one is just for infrastructure. The approval for the manufacture, supply, installation, and operators training of disabled aircraft recovery system equipment at our airports. You know, some of these incidents we have on the runways at times is part of ICAO's specification for your airports to be certified. The International Civil Aviation Organization, the last time they came for audit, it was one of the minors they gave to us, that we don't have enough recovery equipment. So sometimes when you now have the incident, if you remember, something happened at the Abuja airport. Was it in December or January, when there was an airplane that had a problem as it was landing? It now disrupted flight, because we have only one runway in Abuja. It disrupted flight operations in the whole country for about 2 or 3 hours, because flights that were about to take off to Abuja could not come, the ones about to take off, and it was chaos. For 2-3 hours, it was chaos in the whole country that day, because there was no immediate recovery equipment to recover those aircrafts immediately from the tarmac, so that other aircrafts approaching can land. We had to go and beg some other people, some other entities to come and help us remove that aircraft on that day. As Federal Airport, as Aviation and FAN, we didn't have any equipment to remove that aircraft. So we got approval for that as part of ICAO's requirement in the sum of 4.2 billion and a fraction, inclusive of VAT, with a completion period of 12 months to supply and train, and also to train the handlers of these equipments to handle them and remove disabled aircraft from our runways.
At the Federal Executive Council meeting today, 3 approvals were secured to further strengthen our power infrastructures across the country. This is in further reflection of this administration's commitment to provide for the citizens stable, functional, and reliable power. The first approval was actually for the contract for procurement of 10 numbers of 500 kV, 33 kV, 415 volts earthing transformers, and 10 numbers of 33 kV earthing reactors for the transmission company of Nigeria. The total sum of this procurement is actually about $4.8 million and 112.8 million naira. Now, the impact of these earthing transformers and reactor is actually to enhance the optimum performance of the national grid, as we have witnessed incessant collapse and disturbance on the grid. This will go a long way in strengthening and expanding the grid. It will also protect all the electrical equipment and the personnel from the effects of ground faults in our transmission substations across the country. And then lastly, it will reduce the risk of electrical shock, equipment damage, and power outages caused by ground faults. The second approval, which is also in terms of stabilizing the grid and expanding the capacity of the grid, was for the award of contract for the construction of 93-kilometer transmission lines at Oji River, 9th Mile, Nsukka, for the 132 kV double-circuit transmission lines, which we believe will go a long way in stabilizing the national grid. And it's also in line with our national grid expansion plan by Ministries of Aviation, which was actually submitted in year 2020. And it is also in line with the Presidential Power Initiative to increase the end-to-end capacity of the national grid. The cost of this contract is actually about $33.9 billion and 10.1 million naira. That's the local component.
Low interest rates. I mean, where we are now, interest rates are elevated. Clearly, they are not the kind of rates that someone who is trying to pay a mortgage and trying to pay for the purchase of a house can afford, both in terms of the tenor of the money and the rate. We're talking about, give or take, 12%. I would say give or take 12% should be the target that we aim at, something that's affordable. And it will take the creativity of the whole, all the stakeholders, government, the private sector, Federal Housing Authority, Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, Federal Mortgage Bank, as I said before, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, the pension funds, the investment funds, the insurance funds of life, the long-term pools of money for life insurance investments. The whole ecosystem will need to come together to really get the housing sector going through affordability of housing. All the other ingredients are there in this country. So it's a veritable area for value-added employment and growth of the economy. Ruth, it's when you say what type of funding will it be, clearly it is in a main part debt funding. And what it is, there will be intermediation. And when I say intermediation, I mean there will be a passing. So the long-term funds that is in the hands of the institutional investors will be made available through vehicles, probably through the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, or for mortgages, and through the National Sovereign Investment Authority for housing construction. Their expertise is in these areas, and so it is debt financing, and there will be multiple vehicles that are used. As for CNG buses, the infrastructure is being rolled out. At the moment, there is already an initiative, and I did have the privilege and the opportunity just last Friday to be at a assembly plant for production, assembling from semi-knockdown parts, assembly of mass transit CNG buses, and it's actually bi-fuel. It can run, these can run on petrol, and they can run on CNG. The issue is that CNG is almost between 25 and maybe 30%.
FEC approved a total of 12 memos from Ministry of Works, starting with the award of contract for the construction of Ishii to Okeho and construction of Okeho to Igana Road in Oyo State. The project was awarded in 2020 by the past administration, reviewed in 2022, and we had to do augmentation because of the change in prices of basic materials. FEC also awarded Section 2 of Phase 1 of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Let me just throw a little light on this project, against what anybody might be saying. First and foremost is that ESIA was obtained by Ministry of Works from the Ministry of Environment, 23rd of December 2023. That's the first approval. And second approval came in March 28, and further renewed in April 24th, all this year. And so the ESIA is a continuous process. The final certificate is given when the job is totally done or about to be concluded, so that all issues are, sorted out. And we've been doing a lot of engagement. I participated in 2. Today, they are also doing another one. So this Section 2 of that road, that's going to be procured in sections. And the procurement also followed the, procurement process. There are 3 kinds of procurement. There is the one you do competitive bidding by advertising. There is one you appeal to BPP and do what is called selective bidding. And then you list the number of contractors that you want to bid. And there is one you do what is called restrictive bidding. And that's what FEC approved first before the procurement started. And they said it was not listed in 2024 budget. Yesterday, exactly, I quoted the budget number, and so everything about Coastal Road followed the, due process. And then we also had approval from FEC on award of contract for Kota Cafe Abaji Road. It's a section that was abandoned by Bulletin, so it's going to be redone 60 kilometers with concrete. We have approval for augmentation of contract for the scoping and completion of outstanding works in the habitation of Nasarawa Local Road with Alusi Lope in Nasarawa State. We also have, approval, for BUA to do 3 sections of the local Jabinin that are in a very bad state. The president approved a total of 60 kilometers under tax credit by BUA to do it, and the work is ongoing. We also have approval for intervention projects, about 4 intervention projects. We have the Bini Abo, you have the Bini Bypass, you have the projects in Kwara State, Itesi in Kwara State, and then you have the Malando in Kebbi State, approved, as an intervention project. And we also have approval for Kano Northern Bypass route, a total of 74 kilometers with 6 bridges and 4 flyovers. We also have approval to ban all dredging activities, 10 kilometers from every federal bridge, federal government bridge, 10 kilometers upstream and 10 kilometers downstream. There shall be no harvesting of sand of any sort because it's exposing our piles. And we have also approval to construct a road from Southeast. There's a road that is running from Enugu, Abakaliki, Ogoja. It's one of the spurs of, this coastal road. And so we have a road that is tearing off from there, from the Abakaliki axis, and is going to Benue State. From Benue State, it will come to Kogi State through Benue Kogi River, and then it will cross over to Nasarawa, and then to Apo in Abuja, a total of 461. FEC approved that the procurement process should get started. We also have approval for the construction of Sokoto, Ilela to Badagry in Abara, in Badagry, Lagos State, a total of 1,000 kilometers. FEC approved that the procurement process should also start. And finally, we had 2 projects we redesigned, and that's the road in Eleme Junction to Ne. It was designed for flexible pavement, but we redesigned it for concrete. So we needed FEC to give approval after BPP had given approval, and they did. And we have 3 routes also from Benin to Warri, and being done by 3 contractors. We also felt that flexible pavement asphalt will not be sustainable on that road, so we redesigned it on concrete, and the 3 sections are ongoing on concrete, same with Eleme One. So these are all the approvals we got from FEC today.
Approvals for the digital economy and the technology startup ecosystem in Nigeria. I think the first one is something every one of us in this room should be interested in, which is the approval for the setup of a special purpose vehicle, which is a public-private partnership to deploy 90,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable across Nigeria. For those who follow the development within the telecommunications space, Nigeria currently has about 8 submarine cables, which we're only using to about 10%, and this affects the quality of internet that we get across the country. So this approval means that we will now, in the next 2 to 3 years, be able to deploy 90,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable, taking the total in the country to 125,000. This will make it the 3rd longest terrestrial fiber optic cable in Africa, after Egypt and South Africa. And the significant implication of this for of course, our economy is also the fact that the price of internet is projected to reduce by about 60%. The price is projected to reduce by about 60%. And also bear in mind that for every country with a good coverage of connectivity, Nigeria, for instance, is being projected to see a 1.5% growth in GDP, not just in the sector, but across board, due to this investment in the following 4 years after its completion. We're also projecting that if we're able to cover the entire country through this scheme, we expect that we can begin to plug the non-consumption gap in connectivity. If you follow carefully, you'll know that we have over 200,000 educational institutes, government offices, and critical infrastructures like hospitals that are at the minute not connected. So if we're able to deliver on this project, it will give us the immense opportunity to connect all these critical institutions. So this is something that is, of course, of significant importance for the digital economy and all the companies within the sector, but I think for Nigerians as well. The second one is more specific to the technology startup ecosystem in Nigeria. Also being the first for any country like in Nigeria, in Africa, the FEC has approved the conversion of the Nigerian property in San Francisco, USA, to become the Nigerian Startup House. So that building is going to be converted into Nigerian Startup House. And for those who may not know, the San Francisco Bay Area and the nearby Silicon Valley is recognized globally as a major source of startup ecosystem funding, with a combined GDP value of over 929 billion. That's the combined GDP of just that area in the US. And this is where most of the investors in technology startups are based out of. Bear in mind that these investors, I think last year, invested $1.3 billion into technology startups in Nigeria. And our goal is that by setting up in the area, we can help to increase and improve the FDI to technology startups from the San Francisco Bay Area.